Right now, you are standing at a fork. You might not feel it, but you are. On one side is the path you've been on, melatonin every night, maybe increasing the dose because the original amount stopped working, still waking up at 3 a.m., still dragging through the morning, feeling like you barely slept at all. On the other side is a path you probably didn't know existed, one where an ancient route that costs about $15 a month could change how you sleep in a way melatonin never will. I'm not going to tell you which path to take. What I'm going to do is walk you down both of them, side by side. 6 months, 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, and by the end of this video, you'll see, clearly, specifically, backed by published research and exactly where each path leads. Then the choice is yours. Before we split, let's get clear on where you are right now. You have trouble sleeping. Maybe it's falling asleep. You lie there for 45 minutes, an hour, staring at the ceiling while your brain refuses to shut off. Maybe it's staying asleep. You fall asleep fine, but wake up at 2 or 3 a.m. and can't get back down. Maybe it's the quality. You get 7 hours on paper, but wake up feeling like you got 4. You take melatonin, probably started at 1 or 2 milligrams. Maybe you're up to 5, maybe 10. On a good night, it helps you fall asleep a little faster. On a bad night, it does nothing, and you lie there wondering why you even bothered. Mornings are groggy. Energy crashes by early afternoon. You've accepted this as your normal. Both futures start from this exact point. Now, I need to say this clearly before we go any further, that I am not a doctor. This video is not medical advice. If you have a diagnosed sleep disorder, if you're being treated for insomnia by a physician, if you're taking prescription sleep medication, keep working with your doctor. Melatonin is an over-the-counter supplement, not a prescription drug. And what I'm discussing today applies to the millions of people self-medicating with it for general sleep issues. What I'm offering is visibility into 2 possible paths based on published research. That's it. 6 months from now. Future A. 6 months from now on. Path A, you're still taking melatonin. You've probably bumped up the dose. A 2020 study published in JAMA found that melatonin use among U.S. adults more than doubled from 2008 to 2018, and that people are increasingly taking doses well above the physiologically appropriate range. But your body has adjusted. The supplement that used to make your eyelids heavy at 10 p.m. now barely registers. You've tried different brands, maybe added magnesium or a sleep blend that contains melatonin plus valerian plus L-theanine. Some nights are okay. Most aren't great. You still wake up in the middle of the night. Mornings are still foggy. Nothing has fundamentally changed. You are in the same place you were 6 months ago, just with a more expensive nightstand. 6 months from now. Future B. 6 months from now on Path B, you started ashwagandha about 5.5 months ago. Ashwagandha, with Withania somnifera, is an adaptogenic root that has been used in Ayurvedic medicine for thousands of years, and its Latin species name, somnifera, literally means sleep-inducing. You started taking it alongside your melatonin after doing your research. The first 2 weeks, honestly, you didn't notice much. Maybe you were sleeping slightly deeper, but it was hard to tell. Around week 3, something shifted. You started waking up feeling different. Not drugged, not groggy, actually rested. A 2021 double-blind, randomized, placebo-controlled study published in the Journal of Ethnopharmacology tested ashwagandha root extract in both healthy subjects and insomnia patients for 8 weeks. The ashwagandha group showed significant improvements in sleep onset latency, the time it takes to fall asleep, total sleep time, and sleep efficiency compared to placebo. The improvement was even more pronounced in the insomnia subgroup. By month 4, you started experimenting with reducing your melatonin dose. By month 5, some nights you skipped it entirely and slept fine. 1 year from now. Future A. 1 year on path. A. You're still on melatonin, but the relationship has changed. A growing body of research raises questions about long-term exogenous melatonin use. A 2022 study in the Journal of Clinical Sleep Medicine noted that while short-term melatonin use appears safe, the effects of chronic supplementation, particularly at high doses, on the body's own melatonin production are not well understood. There's a concern that flooding your system with external melatonin night after night may downregulate your pineal gland's natural production over time, meaning your body makes less of its own melatonin because it's getting it from a pill. This hasn't been conclusively proven in humans, but the concern is biologically plausible, and the long-term data simply doesn't exist yet. Meanwhile, your underlying sleep quality hasn't improved. The melatonin helps you fall asleep slightly faster some nights. But the architecture of your sleep, the deep, restorative, slow-wave sleep and REM cycles that your brain needs to consolidate memory, repair tissue, and regulate mood, those haven't changed. You're getting quantity, not quality, and you can feel the difference every morning. 1 year from now. Future B. 1 year on path B. Your doctor runs no special test for this, but the change is obvious. You fall asleep within 15 to 20 minutes most nights. You sleep through until morning more often than not. And the quality, the way you feel when the alarm goes off, is different than it's been in years. A 2021 meta-analysis published in PLOS One analyzed 5 randomized controlled trials encompassing 400 participants and found that ashwagandha extract showed a statistically significant improvement in overall sleep quality compared to placebo. The effects were strongest in people with insomnia, at doses of 600 milligrams or more per day, and with treatment durations of 8 weeks or longer. The key compound, triethylene glycol, appears to increase non-rapid eye movement sleep, the deep restorative stage that melatonin doesn't meaningfully affect. You're not just falling asleep faster, you're sleeping deeper, and you've been off melatonin entirely for 3 months. You don't miss it. 3 years from now. Future A. 3 years on the melatonin path. The supplement that once felt like a solution now feels like a dependency. Not a physical addiction. Melatonin isn't addictive in the clinical sense, but a psychological dependency. You can't imagine going to bed without it. The few times you've tried skipping it, you lay awake for hours, not because you physically couldn't sleep, but because the anxiety of being without it kept your brain spinning. Meanwhile, the underlying cause of your poor sleep, which for most people is chronic stress, cortisol dysregulation, or nervous system hyperactivation, hasn't been addressed. The melatonin was never designed to address it. Melatonin is a timing signal. It tells your brain when to sleep. It doesn't calm a nervous system that's running too hot. It doesn't lower cortisol. It doesn't address the stress response that's keeping you wired at midnight. 3 years in, you're managing the clock without touching the engine. 3 years from now. Future B. 3 years on path. Ashwagandha has done something melatonin never could. It addressed the why behind your poor sleep. A 2012 study published in the Indian Journal of Psychological Medicine found that ashwagandha root extract significantly reduced cortisol levels, the stress hormone, by up to 30% compared to placebo in chronically stressed adults. That's not a sleep study specifically, but it's directly relevant, because elevated nighttime cortisol is one of the primary physiological reasons people can't fall asleep or stay asleep. Ashwagandha didn't just help you sleep. It helped calm the stress response that was preventing sleep in the first place. 3 years in, the ashwagandha is just part of your evening routine, like brushing your teeth. You take it, you sleep. You wake up clear. You've almost forgotten what it felt like to dread bedtime. 5 years from now. Future A. 5 years on melatonin. The supplement market has moved on. There are new formulations, new delivery systems, new combinations. You've tried most of them. Some worked for a week. None worked permanently. And there's a creeping concern you've been pushing aside. What is 5 years of nightly melatonin supplementation doing to your endocrine system? The honest answer from the research community is, we don't fully know. The long-term safety data simply doesn't exist at the scale and duration needed to answer the question definitively. The National Institutes of Health's Office of Dietary Supplements notes that the long-term safety of melatonin is not well established. You've been running a personal experiment for half a decade with incomplete data. Meanwhile, the cumulative cost of poor sleep has been mounting. Cognitive function, mood regulation, immune health, metabolic health. A landmark 2017 review in Nature and Science of Sleep documented that chronic sleep disruption is associated with increased risk of cardiovascular disease, obesity, diabetes, depression, and neurodegenerative conditions. 5 years of managed but never solved sleep isn't just about being tired. It's about what being tired is quietly doing to every other system in your body. 5 years from now. Future B. 5 years on path. B. You sleep well, consistently, and not perfectly every night. You're human, and some nights are worse than others. But your baseline has shifted. What used to be a good night is now an average night. What used to be average is now rare. You have energy in the morning that stays through the afternoon. You think more clearly. Your mood is more stable. Your doctor notices that your blood pressure, your weight, your metabolic markers, they're all better than they were 5 years ago. Not because ashwagandha is a magic pill for everything, but because sleep is the foundation. When you fix the sleep, everything downstream improves. A 2019 study published in Cureus, a double-blind, randomized, placebo-controlled trial, found that 300 milligrams of ashwagandha root extract, taken twice daily, for 10 weeks significantly improved sleep quality, reduced sleep onset latency, and decreased anxiety in insomnia patients. No serious adverse events were reported. 5 years of that kind of sleep, real, deep, restorative sleep, has compounded into a version of yourself you barely recognize. In the best way. 10 years from now. The final frame. 10 years on path A. The research on chronic sleep insufficiency is unforgiving. A 2010 study from the University of Warwick, analyzing data from over 1.3 billion participants, found that sleeping fewer than 6 hours per night was associated with a 12% increase in risk of premature death. A decade of poorly managed sleep, masked by a supplement that addresses timing, but not quality or cause, has a cost. It may not show up in a dramatic way. It shows up slowly, in brain fog that becomes permanent, in a metabolism that doesn't recover, in a body that ages faster than it should. This is not a scare tactic. This is what 10 years of treating the symptom without addressing the cause looks like when you follow the longitudinal data. 10 years on path. The sleep that defined your struggles a decade ago is a distant memory. Your body learned how to sleep again, not because a supplement knocked you out every night, but because you addressed the stress, the cortisol, the nervous system activation that was preventing natural sleep. You gave your body the right support. You gave it time, and it gave you back a decade of mornings you would have lost. So, that's where each path goes. You've seen both. You've lived through both, in your mind at least. And now you're back here. Today. The fork. Nothing has been decided yet. You are still at the beginning. And the question is simple. Which future do you want to walk toward? If you want to start walking toward future B, here is exactly how. The form. Ashwagandha root extract, specifically a standardized extract with a known withanolide content. The clinical trials that showed sleep benefits used standardized extracts, like KSM-66, standardized to 5% with anolides, and Shodan, standardized to 35% with anolide glycosides. These are the forms with the most research behind them. Raw ashwagandha powder is available, but the active compound concentration is lower and less consistent. The dose, 300 milligrams twice daily, 600 milligrams total, of a root extract, standardized to at least 5% with anolides. This is the dose range used in the majority of positive clinical trials. Some studies used higher doses, up to 1,200 milligrams daily, but 600 milligrams appears to be the sweet spot, where benefits are still well established and side effects remain minimal. Timing. Take your second dose in the evening, approximately 1 to 2 hours before bed. Ashwagandha's sleep benefits appear to work partly through cortisol reduction and nervous system calming. So the evening dose is the most important one for sleep specifically. Take it with food. Ashwagandha is generally better absorbed when taken with a meal or snack that contains some fat. Timeline, and this is important. Ashwagandha is not a sedative. It does not knock you out the way melatonin or a sleeping pill does. The first 1 to 2 weeks, you may notice very little. Around weeks 2 to 4, subtle changes begin. Slightly deeper sleep, slightly easier mornings. But the significant improvements in the clinical trials were measured at 6 to 10 weeks. Commit to at least 8 weeks of consistent daily use before evaluating. This is not a quick fix. It's a slow rebuild of your body's natural stress response and sleep regulation systems. Where to buy? Health food stores, supplement shops, or online. Look for KSM-66 or Shodan on the label. These are the clinically studied extracts. A month's supply runs approximately $12 to $20. Contraindications. This matters. Ashwagandha may affect thyroid function. It has been shown in some studies to increase thyroid hormone levels. If you have a thyroid condition, particularly hyperthyroidism, or are on thyroid medication, talk to your doctor before starting. Ashwagandha may lower blood sugar. If you're on diabetes medication, monitor your levels. Yet it may interact with sedatives or anti-anxiety medications by enhancing their effects. If you are pregnant or nursing, do not take ashwagandha. Its safety in pregnancy has not been established, and there have been rare reports of liver function changes with ashwagandha use. If you have liver disease, consult your healthcare provider. Long-term safety beyond 3 months is not well established in clinical research, so periodic check-ins with your doctor are wise. The doctor conversation. Here's what I'd say. I've been reading about ashwagandha for sleep. A meta-analysis in PLOS-1 and multiple randomized trials show it may improve sleep quality, particularly for people with insomnia or stress-related sleep issues. And I'd like to try adding it to my routine and see if it helps me reduce my reliance on melatonin over the next 2 to 3 months. Can we monitor together? I'm not your doctor. This is information, not a prescription. But this is the protocol supported by the published evidence. 10 years from now, you will live in one of two futures. The one where you kept taking the timing signal without ever addressing the engine, or the one where you gave your body what it actually needed, not a clock adjustment, but a calm-down signal for a nervous system that has been running too hot for too long. The fork is today. The ashwagandha costs $15. The decision costs nothing. But waiting costs sleep, and sleep costs everything. One final time, and I mean this. If you are taking prescription sleep medication, do not stop it. That is a medical decision. Melatonin is over the counter, and the transition I've described applies to OTC melatonin supplementation specifically. Future B is not about abandoning care. It's about giving your body a deeper form of support. You deserve a solution that doesn't just help you fall asleep, but helps you stay asleep, sleep deeply, and wake up feeling like sleep actually did its job. If someone you love has been reaching for the melatonin bottle every night without knowing there's a different path, send them this video. Not to tell them what to do, to show them the fork they can't see yet. I'll see you in the next one. Take good care of your future self.